Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Sean.
Welcome to Inside the Huddle.
Yes, another Monday.
So I
Holidays
had a
are right around the
thought.
corner. Hope everyone's got their Christmas shopping done.
Yeah. Hope you're ready for this week. A lot of Compass events this week. A lot of Compass holiday parties.
Yeah, I have one today.
Yours is today.
Yeah,
Wow.
the Cardiff and Sanitas one Paseo. We're all huddling up at, I think it's a Brigantine.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think ours is Wednesday, I believe, for Mission Valley.
nice.
By the way, if anyone on the call does not know when yours is, get with your OA. It's been scheduled. They make that big plans. They're going to love it. So I had a thought for today because we didn't get to get much last week while you were gone. But we had asked, good morning. We were asking about if people had questions or jumping in. I thought it would be fun. You guys don't have to turn your camera on, just your mic, but share what's the biggest roadblock you're facing right now? And let's work through some of those, whether it's something in the biz, whether it's a mental roadblock. What right now are you concerned about going into the new year?
Yeah, love that.
Anybody can jump in.
Sean, I'll if you don't mind, I'll jump in.
No, break the ice.
Yeah, I hear a lot from agents. They're just having a hard time expressing what they do has a value to it. I mean, it's an age-old problem, but they feel like, oh, I already found the property. We keep going back to I found the property myself, so I don't really need to pay you, or how we're going against the commission reduction pressures.
Yeah, there's a lot of commission reduction pressure out there. So I don't know about you, Steve. Thank you. That's a great question, Melanie, that everyone faces, I think. My first question when I'm talking to an agent and this comes up is, do you actually know your value? If you're not aware, if you're not sure of the value you're bringing, it's hard to express it and create confidence with your client. I believe 100% believe, I have to be careful Monday morning how we say things.
Yeah.
You're the second most important advisor in their life after their doctor, whoever takes care of their health. Health is most important. But after that, it's you advising them on this thing that creates their legacy, their wealth, their children's wealth. There's nothing that they're doing in their life, not the financial advisor helping them with the $40,000 they have in some 401k, and you're helping them with $1 million that's going to impact their ability to retire and their kids. So you have to know the absolute value you bring. And unfortunately, the greatest way to know it is see it done wrong. See a family get devastated by some agent who didn't know what they're doing. We don't see it often, but it sticks with you, I can tell you that. Then it becomes like to what you said, man, I found the property anyway. Well, great. That saves me, half an hour of work looking things up. That's not, if you think that's what we do for a living, is explore properties in the MLS, you've missed what we do that every day that matters the most is after the transaction starts. What is there, 200 different ways something can go wrong?
Well, there are 172 tasks. I mean, when I, at a previous life, had a technical writer sit down with, it was 50 of the top agents in the United States. And they actually documented every task not so much the focusing on the marketing side of things, but from when people sign the contract to the close of escrow, what has to take place, and all of those things that are required to ensure that a successful outcome occurs.
That happens right.
It is mind-boggling to me that agents generally, and not, again, I want to be very careful when I say agents, like I'm talking about Compass agents here, but I'm talking about some of them. But I'm talking about the hobbyists that infect negatively, right, our industry because they don't see the value. And then what I end up finding is some of our very best people will actually try to bow to the pressure that they create without making an argument for themselves. All I've ever wanted for any agent I've ever coached, that I've ever managed when it comes to justifying their value, the first thing, I have a responsibility to make sure they understand what their value is. And one of the ways I try to do that is Tell me why you think you're important in the transaction. What voice goes off in your head when you hear this downward pressure on you? So that's one thing, Sean. But the other thing is to get crystal clear in your mind about what it is that you do. Houses sell houses.
Right.
Salespeople, buyers, sellers, brokers screw things up. You're a risk manager.
You're a risk manager. Your insurance is what you are.
And like I've said it before to Melanie's question, if you think if we are reduced to the cost, that's what agents are going to allow. If they allow that to happen to them, that all you are is a cost, an expense in the transaction. And you have no way of establishing what your value is by the way you set your jaw and talk about what you do in a high-minded way, so that when you call up a manager and say, well, I need to get this reduction because the other agent we're in a multiple bid and the other agent's going to, they're willing to give up 0.5%. So I need to give up 0.5% to deal together. If you don't, right, I mean, like we could work through that all day long and I'm happy to do that, but it's a mindset, it's a belief, and you have to believe it. If you don't, it's a big, we just don't have enough time, right? Like to go through well, we know what the byproduct is, right? But it really is a mindset and understanding what you do matters. It matters a lot. So.
Well, and Melanie just wrote, if you don't know how to establish your own value, someone else will establish it for you.
Well, that's the fact.
And you can't. Here's what in a nutshell, what I think, Steve, what you just said, you're not going to outfunction a Zillow or a Redfin or an Open Door. They're functionaries. That's what they're very, very good at.
Right.
They think this is like the travel industry and they can outfunction you. We know that to be true. Zillow just learned that the hard way at the cost of $500 million or $1 billion or what the hell they wasted. So when people hire you, they're not hiring the 15 minutes of consultation. They're hiring the 15 years of knowing how to make sure things go right and protect them. Right? They're hiring the 1,500 people on your Compass team. You may not know every single thing there's known in real estate, but we do. At the end of this thing, you got to say to a client, do you know that according to NAR, almost 70% of people cry at least once during a transaction? They rank selling and moving or public speaking and death at the top of the scale for stress. That's why you're hiring me. I will eliminate that. I will create an experience that makes you actually wish you had more things to sell. That's what you're paying for when you're paying for me. Now, if they don't see the truth of that, that becomes their problem. But you've got to know how valuable you are first.
Yeah.
Great question.
Well, it is a great question. And I think, I'll give you a little role play here, right? So if somebody says to me, well, the other agent said they do it for this, and, we really like you, try practicing this very carefully, right? But because it's all in tonality, pitch. Now I know what I'm up against. May I share with you what I do and why it matters so much that you are not persuaded or confused by a hobbyist who only has this deal that they're relying on to see them through, right? That they're willing to. I like to share with you, what it is that I do, and you don't denigrate the other agent, but it's this response that you have to say, now I know what I'm up against. And let that just detonate and pause for a second, because they're going to stop and they're going to be listening intently to what you say after that statement. And so you want to get that ironed out. And, you and I are there for that. Melanie are there for that. But just make an argument for yourself is all I'm asking. Don't, whatever the argument is. If you are on this call and you don't know that what you do matters, then,
I had a great coach once.
I just came back from Montana, so I'm kind of like zenning out here a little bit. So I'm just
it's good. He did visuals. I love visuals, you guys. Like the thing I think every one of you should be really great at is that face and that sound. Yeah. You should be able to say that before almost every objection handler. Anyway, here's one that I love, Steve, was when people said, that guy said they would do it for, half a point less than you. And he was standing looking at the client and, well, You don't want me to defend their lack of value, do you? The double take and then you're not expecting me to defend their lack of value, do you? I loved it. That was an answer in itself.
Yeah. One of my if most of you on the call that know me know, one of my biggest mentors in my life has been Floyd Wickman, and he's imprinted on me in so many ways, particularly as it relates to dialogues and scripts. I learned everything I am as a script person comes from Floyd Wickman, everything. And he role modeled this, and this would be so appropriate here when someone would say, that other agent said they do it for a half, or I want you to cut, whatever the commission objection is. At the end of them speaking, he would do, you could inject this. So let me warm up here. But Floyd would go, yeah. Can I share in this yeah thing? Just drew, anytime I would be in a session with him when he was dealing with objections, and at the end of the objection statement, he had a propensity 90% of the time to go, yeah. So there was this agreement, like trying to join forces with them, not trying to recoil and confront. It was like, oh yeah. Well, now I know what I'm up against. I'd like to share with you, with your permission. And, so again, not a scripts class here, but I've never forgotten that, because every time Floyd would in a session would go, yeah, it just drew me in. It just drew me in. Part of the fun of this.
Yeah. Look at it as fun, right?
Yeah.
I want to move us along because that's one question. I don't want us to take up the whole time on one.
Yeah.
She asked another roadblock that's big right now, inventory. I think inventory is the huge obstacle. I got 10 buyers.
It's the biggest opportunity.
It's the opportunity. Damn, you're good, Steve.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just if I for some reason were not managing today, I would be going to Randy, John, every agent on this call saying, tell me about a buyer you're working with right now that you can't find a property for. Tell me who they are. All I need from you is give me their last names and tell me where they're coming from. Are they coming from NorCal? Are they coming from Detroit? Are they coming from Florida? That's all I need from you. Mr. Purcell, this is Steve Salinas with Compass. I'm knocking on your door. The reason I'm disturbing you today, and I'm sorry, is that I'm working with a family, the DiGiovannis. They're moving here from Detroit. They got 2 small kids. In an effort to find them their perfect home, because they've looked at everything on the market, it's either not available or it's not the perfect fit. In an effort to find them the perfect home, we're wondering, if I were to present you with an offer, would you want to see it? Because they've identified this neighborhood and a home like yours. Well, you haven't been in my home. Don't need to be in your home. We know the specifics about this property, and they know that they want a ranch, main floor master. If my question to you is, if I could present you with an offer, would you want to see it?
A large percentage will say yes.
Door knocking with that dialogue will get you the next question, which is, well, do you know someone that will? Or they'll tell you, well, I don't know, but I was talking to Sean, my buddy, he lives next door. He was talking like he might be selling in the spring. That's what will happen. And that's what you start rainmaking that way.
Right. I would start that kind of dialogue every time with, hi, I have some really good news for you. Everybody wants to hear good news.
Yeah.
The key part of this is what Steve opened up with. This isn't an issue. This is an opportunity. Remember, we get paid in direct proportion to the size of the problems we solve. While everyone else is out there saying, oh, the inventory is terrible, I can't do anything, you're out there getting listings and double ending. That's not a problem. That's an opportunity.
Right.
The belief that you have to have, because it's absolutely true, but we don't think this way, is, well, they've seen everything that's for sale. We've been in no. Every single home is for sale. Every single home is for sale. At the right price, at the right time. You don't know if it's the right price and time. The seller certainly doesn't, because they haven't put it on the market with an agent yet. But you go up to an $800,000 home and out from 1.5, you're telling me they're not going to sell the home? All homes are for sale. Go out and find that listing.
Yeah. Who wants to be a buyer agent today? This is your opportunity right now. You're working. I understand that the other agent has the buyers, so you'd work that out in the conversation with the seller, right? But the bottom line is you are working on behalf of someone. And even if it meant that you would split the deal with another agent, like, hey, John Rice, if I could find you a home like that and you want to split the deal?
Thumbs up.
I don't know. Maybe John says no. I would guess most agents would say yes right now. If they got a buyer that is stalled out because they can't find a home and you can go find them one, hey, you know.
To the ones who say no, Steve, you just say to them, well, that's okay. Success is not for everybody. Then you move right along.
It's not complicated, folks. It really isn't. You've got to put some sweat equity into this, but I would rather go find a seller than to have to wait for inventory to come on and do the multiple 5-offer bid game and, you know, grind yourself.
Well, there's no competition. The home's not on the market. That's the best part. You're the only one there talking to them.
Yeah.
Any other questions coming up? Melanie made a good point. Steve, sellers have FOMO. You asked them if they'd like to see it. Of course they want to see it. Their fear of missing out. And Brian, of course, commented, if it was easy, they wouldn't need us. We get paid to solve problems. Once you adopt that mindset, it changes everything. Thank goodness this is the problem. I'm needed. If it was just a function, they'd take you out. Yep, Melanie?
I feel like we would miss an opportunity here to not address the likely to sell artificial intelligence that directs you in some of your own client database discussions. So just want to point that out.
Right. You are the master of that. You know that, Melanie? She's so good at tying whatever's going on to some amazing tool that we have.
Right.
It always impresses me.
I don't want to work harder, you know. I work smarter.
Work smarter, that's right. Who else has a question, a roadblock, something that's coming up right now that you'll be surprised to find out probably every agent's dealing with that? Wow, we have such good agents on this call. They don't even have any roadblocks. That's fantastic. All right, Steve, what are we doing right now with the sellers, going back to this inventory problem? I might want to sell my home, but I don't think I can buy anything. How do we address that with them?
Well, I think the nice thing is that right now the sellers do, you know, having a conversation about talking about how the sellers are on high water right now. They're on high ground. So because of the inventory issue, sellers are able to pretty much dictate the terms of the negotiation. That could mean that you stay in possession of your home for a month free while you search for a replacement property. It could mean that it's conditional upon the close. You could structure the offer or the transaction in such a way is that if they're unable to close on the property, not find another, but close on it, then this deal would evaporate, and at least they'd have a roof over their head. So really, it's about trying to find a place where they can be comfortable if they can't, because the lack of inventory is a problem for them, right? Potentially. But it allows you also, look, you tell me exactly what it is you need. I'll go find that home if it doesn't exist. And we will build, we can structure the listing agreement in such a way as to ensure you will not be without a home unless and until we find the perfect home for you.
You will always be protected.
And what ends up happening is, well, people say, well, gosh, well, what if you can't? Listen, in this market today, the other conversation you want to have is even if they have to live in a Residence Inn for 2 months, the gains right now, this is high water right now, right? When we all agree, when you agree, like this is unprecedented, the climb that we've seen, right? That we could be nearing it. We in fact, we may even be past the apex. So this is an opportunity for them to leverage where the market is for their greatest gain. And if it meant that they could pull an additional $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 before this thing turns and corrects even by 8%, or let's say, because that's what we've seen, right? That means that could be a 6-figure, but if they could secure it now, what difference does it make if they have to live in if they can live in a Residence Inn at a $10,000 expense while they continue at their pace to find their replacement home, such as that they leverage the equity in their home and then structure the deal in such a way as it protected. I think that's how I would approach any seller, Sean.
And it's definitely right now an opportunity for sellers. If you go to a seller and point out the huge equity run-up they've had, and they could sell their home and take all that equity and buy their dream house. You could buy your dream house, put that money down, get a 3% loan. I'll bet your payment doesn't change very much. Are you living in your dream home? Would you like to? I can make that happen. It struck me also, Steve, I was just on a coaching call earlier this morning, and nobody here is bringing it up, but I think it's more widespread than we think about. It's the nerves. Like we say, you got to go knock on doors, go talk to a stranger. And actually, I know this to be true because I don't care who you are. You still get it. We still get nerves. That's the funny thing. And when you see an agent who's just killing it, and they cold call all the day, or they knock on doors, you think, how did they get past it? How did they get to that point? This is the secret I want to share with you guys. They don't. The nerves don't go away. Steve, you'll confirm this. I can't tell you how many times I stood on a sideline just before a football game started. The butterflies never went away.
Yeah.
But it changes, right? You change from, oh, I don't want to do this thing. This feeling makes you fearful to, oh, this is the feeling that I have right before I go do something I really like. This is the feeling I get right before I go help 2 more families and make money. If you're waiting for it to go away, if you're waiting for the roadblock to move, it's not going to. You've got to turn it into a road sign that tells you, yes, correct path.
Yeah. Sean, there has never been in my life, including the mornings when we get up and we prepare, for these meetings, where I'm not questioning, have I done enough work? I don't want to embarrass myself on the call today. And then as soon as we go, I'm going live. When I was 16, I was a lector at my church. And there was never a time when I wasn't doing that right before I got up to speak, that my heart wasn't in my throat. I do sales meetings. Every time we do a sales meeting, right before we kick it off, I feel that butterfly. Then it just goes away because but every single time, this is normal. Because what you do matters and you care about it, you will have butterflies. You have to push past that. And then you hit your stride and then you're off and running. This is true about the things we're talking about. The idea of asking an agent for a buyer so you can go prospect for that person, and the fear of, gosh, I got to actually go talk and confront and maybe get it rejected or have a door slammed in my face. Yeah, so what? Once you have the first one thrown on you, the rest of your day is set. You keep grinding it out. That's, to me, I don't understand. I struggle with some of our best people's fears there, because I have those same fears. I have those same doubts, but you power through because that's what you need to do. That's the job. That's what the job needs you to do the best for your people. Maybe if you look at it that way and you psych yourself up mentally to say, I'm going to go do this because this is what's best for the people I care about. And yeah, it sucks to have a door and have people mad and angry at me, but this is what I need to do. Picking up the phone, talking to people. Yeah. So anyway.
And I think we're talking about change. What you do is change, right? I'm saying that feeling that we're calling butterflies, change what it means. You get to define things. You know that, right? You guys we assign meaning to everything. There's no actual meaning. There's no reality. There's just what you perceive.
Yes, that's so true.
It's the same thing with what you just said, the door getting slammed in my face. Rejection. We all fear rejection. Well, stop making it about rejection. If I'm a problem solver, if my job is to find people who are about to go embark on this really painful, stressful thing, I'm like a doctor. I want to help you, right? And if they say, no, I'm not about to embark on this stressful, painful thing, so I don't need you, well, celebrate. I mean, you don't go to the doctor's office and say, I don't have chest pains anymore, and the doctor feels rejected, do you? The doctor's not rejected. The doctor's happy for you. Thank goodness none of you in this household are about to get this disease we call selling a home. I'm going to go look for more people who are. By the way, if you see this, here are the symptoms. Their house starts feeling tight because they're having kids. Or the house starts feeling really loose because everybody's gone. Or they have a job transfer. Or you see someone, they're going to a lot of open houses. That's advanced stages. You got to call me right now. I can help those people. Now there's never rejection. Now there's just people to celebrate and people to help. I think we have fun with this stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's a topic that as we wind down the year, it's a topic I want my folks to embrace. It's part of the grind. It's what makes success so rewarding in our business, when you're able to power through and know that there are other people, like I said, that had those same fears. They have those same nerves and all that fear of rejection. Everyone who's successful in this business has powered through that. None of us escape it. It's like death, and none of us are getting out of here alive. right? So do you embrace it? And I think just one final thought on this, Sean, is I think when you come to peace in your mind with what you're doing this and who you're doing this for, it makes, I will tell you, if I could leave you with one pearl of wisdom, folks, on the call, that's what changed me. Was I stopped making it about, I have to get this, I need a listing, I don't have a listing, I got bills to pay, I've got this, I got that, I got, versus, look, it's going to be what's going to, I'm going to see if I can help these people. If I can, I will. And if I can't, I won't. And when I finally embraced that, truly embraced it, started living it, the energy I brought to that engagement gave me different outcomes.
Right.
It just gave me different outcomes, and I approached it differently. So that's all I have to add on that. And then you just got to make a plan and stick to it and hit your numbers and yada, yada, yada.
Brian wrote a great comment, which is toward what you're saying. If we change the focus of the interaction from me to them,
yeah,
it changes all the pressure. It changes the sense of what you're doing and why. Be altruistic. It changes everything you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely does.
Anybody else got a short, easy one?
Yeah, I got something to share for you guys.
Bring it.
So we just landed our first Carlsbad listing from a for sale by owner.
Oh, awesome.
One of our friends lives in a neighborhood in Carlsbad, and they posted online that they were looking to sell their house and that they wanted to do for sale by owner. So instead of just knocking on the door, we went with a softer approach. So I dropped off a bottle of wine, some homemade cookies, and our card. And then the next day I sent them in the mail a compass folder with a CMA in it on their home, a short one-page bio on my wife and I, and who we are as people and as agents, and then a handwritten note in there, basically just saying, hey, look, we know you want to do for sale by owner. It's probably because you had a bad experience. We'd love to interview for the position. And I didn't hear anything for like 3 weeks. And then she just called me out of the blue. And now that listing is going to be going live here in the next week or two.
Love a happy ending.
Yeah.
And you're not manipulating. You weren't pushing. We understand, I think, 89%, almost 90% of all FSBOs fail. If you know that going in, then you don't have to push them off the cliff. They're going to fail at that job anyway. Be the person that they count on, that say, I really like your letter. I like how you approach this. We tried, it didn't work. Can you come over and talk to us?
And then when we met with them and talked to them about, the power of our negotiations and, just all the little stuff that happens, like you guys said in the beginning about like what happens during a transaction. If it doesn't appraise, what do you do then? And she stopped us and she's like, I am so glad I called you guys. There is no way I'd have been able to navigate this.
You need to get a recording of that and put it out in marketing. Yeah. I'm so glad I went and got you instead of doing this on my own.